Hi Klasse 8. So this is your video for this week's lesson. I'll try and keep it as short as possible, and you're going to need your new booklet for this lesson. So if you can make sure you've got your new booklet with you and a pen, and you will also need to have access to the internet. But if you're watching this video, then you've obviously already got access to the internet. Okay, so before we get started, have a quick look at the word of the week, das Wort der Woche. This week's word of the week, I just think it's a really lovely word. It doesn't mean something all that nice, but it's a really lovely word in German. It is eine Ohrfeige. So Ohrfeige is the actual word that is the word of the week, and it means a slap across the face. And I just think it's so nice that they have maybe it's not so nice, but I think it's quite just wonderful that they have a complete word for that, whereas we have, slap across the face, which is 4 words. So I think it just shows how efficient the Germans are, that they've made a noun that means a slap across the face. And in case you weren't sure what a slap across the face looked like, there it is. I'm not advising this week that you slap anyone across the face and then say it in German. I did advise you last week to try and use the words that we had, to talk about somebody. Remember, it was Sesselpupser. But yeah, please don't slap anyone across the face this week. That'd be brilliant. Okay, so this is our 12. Stunde, or our 12th lesson, and it's the first lesson in your new booklet. Okay, so if you look, the first 2 pages of your booklet are going to have just the kind of the general stuff that you always have. So you can sort of just, if you want to go forward now to page 8, that'd be brilliant. That is the beginning of the lessons for this booklet. Okay, so today you're going to be using German in different scenarios, different pretend situations that may or may not come up at some point in your life. Okay, they're all based on things that have either happened to me or happened since I've been, running school trips as a German teacher and a French teacher as well, and just, lots of different situations that can actually kind of crop up, and where having a bit of German is really useful. So the aim of today's lesson isn't for you to have perfect, wonderful, German sentences that are completely correct. It's not that at all. It's actually just using the language that you've had so far this year, using language in your booklet, and using an online dictionary, so that you could form a sentence and maybe try and get by if you find yourself in Germany or Switzerland or Austria. Okay, so we're not looking for perfection here, we're just looking to be understood. And as I know you're all making your options this week, it's something that I think maybe as a language department we don't say often enough, but to have a language at GCSE means that you've got like a really good level of it, and you can carry out a conversation and everything else. But when if you want to use a language in your future career, or whatever it is, you don't have to speak that language perfectly. You don't have to be a completely flawless German speaker or French speaker. It's absolutely fine to kind of just get by, and to to make yourself understood. That's the whole idea of a language, isn't it? Is to make yourself understood. And I think maybe as a people, really, as a nation, we tend to think that if we aren't brilliant at something, that we shouldn't try at all. But that's really something that I'm hoping this lesson will help you sort of to get over, that it's fine if it's not perfect, if it's not wonderful. We're not looking for that. I'm just looking so that you could make yourself understood. Okay, anyway, I'll stop rabbiting on. So today we're going to be using a website called pons.de, so pons.de, and it's a really useful website to find different vocab, and you can use it for French, but you can also use it for German. So I've got a bit more information on it later on, but something you need to be aware of. It's a German website, so instead of having .co.uk at the end, or .com, it's got .de, which kind of stands for Deutschland. Okay, and because it's a German website, often when you search for it, so pons.de, the first time you search for it, it will come up in German, so the whole website will be in German. So I'm just going to quickly run through, if you're on a desktop or if you're on a mobile, what you can do to get the actual website working for you in English. Okay, so you might be able to work this out anyway. You're probably all a lot better at kind of just sorting this thing out than I would have been, I think, when I was your age. But just in case, I'm going to run through it now. Okay, so if you are looking at the website pons.de on a desktop, then that's what you'll get. That'll be the top of your website screen. And if you can see, the whole thing is in German. You might be able to work your way around it without even translating it. So if you look there, there's like a search bar, and we can see the words. We've got English, and we've also got Französisch there. So that, maybe I've made that a bit more difficult by showing you that one there. But usually it would be Deutsch that would be showing there, okay? So yeah, to get this into English then, what you need to do is just click on that top bit there that says Deutsch. And so if you click on that arrow there, it'll just give you a little option, like a drop down list of different languages to have the website in. So you're going to want to choose English or English, okay? And then the whole thing will start appearing for you in English instead. All right. And if you're on a mobile phone, it's slightly different. So your version that would probably come up on your mobile would be like that, okay? And as you can see there, that actually it's got the flags there. So maybe even the flags would kind of give you a hint there. But this is searching at the moment from German into English. And if you want to change all of this so that it shows in English, which I do completely understand, it's nice to feel like you can understand what's going on a website. What you need to do is click on those 3 lines there. And then that will give you this drop down option here, okay, which is all different things you can do. So there is actually a section here for translating longer texts, but we're not going to do that today, and we don't need to do that because you've got enough German to not need that. So there are various different things you can do there, but what you'll want is to click on Sprache auswählen, so that word there, it's got the globe little symbol there, and if you click on that, as you see there, it gives you a drop down lot of options there. Just click on English, okay, and that'll give you the mobile version in English as well. There is an app you can download that should be free, which you're welcome to use. I tend not to use it just because I never have much space on my phone, but it can be helpful if you want to download that. Okay, so if we go back to page 8 of your new booklet, so we're using the website Pons. And it says here, pons.de is a really good online dictionary, and it really is. I've been using it for years, probably since my first year of teaching, I think. And it's definitely the best one that I've found. It's got lots of features, a bit like Google Translate, that you can kind of click on the audio to listen to what a word sounds like. And it's something that I just always advise all of my pupils to use, really, pons.de. I use it for French and German, so you guys could as well, but you might also be used to using like word reference and so on. But I find this website gives the most comprehensive kind of answers, and to me that's the best thing to do. All right, so I'm showing you here something that's going to be useful for you for scenario 7 today, because we're going to deal with some different scenarios. And that is if pretending that you are in I can't remember if it's in Germany or Austria or somewhere, that you're somewhere and your braces, like the braces that you have in your teeth, are broken, and that is something that definitely could come up if you were traveling abroad and you only wear a brace. And so this is where kind of, if you'd search for braces in the website, it would come up with all these different options here. And you can see there's lots of different words. So you need to look at the explanation to really kind of give you a hint here. So if you look, it says the first option that it gives you there, it says brace, and it gives you, and it says also there kind of, especially in those countries. It doesn't mention the UK there, but that's fine. We can use it as well. And then it says after that, for teeth. So you'll know that if you've got, if you wear a brace, it's in your mouth and it's for your teeth. So that's going to be the word you're going to want to use. You're going to want to use Zahnklammer, but actually you could also use this one because it's also appropriate. So either of those words would be absolutely fine. If you used this word, right, brace, it's actually for your back. So if you wear a back brace, that's what you'd need. So you'd want to make sure that you've got that word correct. If you were somewhere in Germany and say you were like on an exchange or something, and you wanted to say to somebody like, my brace is broken, you want to make sure you're talking about the right brace, okay? And it will avoid you making a really hilarious but not necessary mistake. So for example, there are, you can wear braces to keep your trousers up. And so having kind of those kind of braces break is a very different situation to your mouth braces breaking. Okay, so that's why it's really important that you kind of look at the words around it, that you don't just take the first word that comes up, even though the first word that comes up right here is actually the correct word. Okay, so in your booklet, you've got on pages 5 and 6 in your new booklet, and there it is in your old booklet as well. we've got some basic words here, okay? And so for today's scenarios, I'd like you to use these 2 pages to form kind of maybe the starts of your sentences, or to, if you want to maybe be a bit more polite and say please and thank you and so on, okay? So use pages 5 and 6. I've put here on this slide the most commonly used sort of words that you will need for these scenarios, okay? But use both pages, and you can imagine that if you, for any of these scenarios, you could be in Germany, and just imagine that you thought, oh, I'll just take my second year 8 German booklet with me, and so you could have it there with you, all right? So the whole idea of this really, as I've already said, is so that you can apply German to real life situations, and you will find, and I promise it's the case, that a lot of the German you've learnt this year can be applied to real life situations. It might not have felt like it as you were learning how to say what colour eyes you've got and so on, but you can adapt that language and you can then use it for things that would, definitely crop up. Okay, so below we've got some scenarios that are based on real life, where it's actually on page 9 of your booklet, and on the next page as well. And so it should show you that you don't have to know all of the words to get by in German, okay? And that's definitely the case. You don't need to know every single word in German to be able to make yourself understood, okay? And as I said, you also don't have to speak perfectly to make yourself understood. Okay, so you need to read through the scenarios and then work out what you'd say in each situation, and then write the German of what you'd say. You've got a box under each scenario, so just write the German in there. You don't need to write in complicated sentences, okay? Your aim here is to convey your point in German, and that's it. So the first scenario, we'll go through this one together. This is actually a little bit different to the other scenarios because it involves a map. But I'll just run through it now with you. Okay, so the scenario is you're in Berlin for the weekend and your phone has run out of battery. You'd agreed to meet your friend at the Brandenburg Gate, which is a massive monument in Berlin, at 3 p.m. for a tour of the city. And actually, it's where a lot of the main walking tours in Berlin, they actually do start under the Brandenburg Gate. So it's 2:45 and you're at the other side of the city centre, and you call a taxi, but the taxi driver doesn't speak English. And from personal experience, that is often the case. So, you can often find yourself trying to kind of convey some information where somebody does not speak, your own language. So you don't know what the Brandenburg Gate is called in German, but you're going to probably guess that it starts with the word Brandenburg. And the taxi driver hands you a map. How do you tell him where you want to go in German as politely as you can? Okay, so for this, usually it would be in the classroom, and there would be a massive map of Berlin that I would stick to the board that you could all come up and have a look at. And so if you look there, it's just appeared on the screen there. If you imagine that you've just been shown this map, there is one word that kind of looks a bit like the Brandenburg Gate there. You see, it's this one here. It's Brandenburger Tor, and that is the German word for the Brandenburg Gate. Now, you can also imagine that if a taxi driver actually showed you a map, it might even have a picture of the Brandenburg Gate on it, so you might have a bit more of an idea there. So that's the place you want to go to, and you could even just point at the map, couldn't you? But if you wanted to kind of point at the map and say maybe I'd like to go here please, or even just here please, you would need some words to help you form that. And so one word that you might want to look up on ponds in general would be here. But actually, you've all been saying that on the register when I call the register from back in September. So you wouldn't even need to look that up, and it's good because your phone battery is dead according to this scenario anyway. So to say here, we would just say here, and then you could point at the Brandenburg Gate, or you could even say it Brandenburger Tor. And then you might even want to say please, because you're trying to be polite as possible. And please, which you can get from your booklet, is bitte. So you could point at it and say Brandenburger Tor, or you could even then say here bitte. And that's kind of it. That's all you need to do. So it's not a full sentence. It's just kind of, using a few bits of words to get by. Okay. So I'll just run through the next scenario, and then you can get going with the rest of them. Okay, so this first one is, or the second one even, is you are staying with a German family in Hamburg, which is in Germany, because your parents want you to improve your language skills before your GCSEs. You are feeling pretty homesick and you're not enjoying the food. You aren't exactly a vegetarian, but you don't like eating meat. You've tried telling the family this in English, but they don't get it, and they keep offering you Wurst and Schnitzel. How do you tell them in German that you don't like meat and that you would like some pasta and pesto? So this scenario, I mean, really, this is just me when I was 14 and my parents sent me to France for the summer. And really, I was not that happy with all the food there. So if this were the case, okay, and I know it's hard to imagine maybe that you could actually be going and staying in a different country right now because we can't really leave the house that much, but just sort of go with it. What you'd need to say here is, I don't like meat. Yeah, so I don't like meat. And also I would like, and then pasta and pesto. And interestingly, you know, pasta and pesto, they're kind of those international food words that they are exactly the same in German. Okay, so you need to write here, I don't like, which you've got in your words that you'll need section in your booklet. You'd need to look up the word for meat. Okay, so use Pons to look up the word for meat. And then I would like is also in your booklet, so look on there first on pages 5 and 6. And then pasta is the same, and the word and, which we've used already this year, is und, so just UND, and then pesto. Okay, so it's not a huge amount that you need to kind of to write here or find out. You're actually looking at one word on Pons, and that's meat. Okay, and that's it. So have a go at that one, write in your answer there, write in your answers for the rest of the scenarios, and then once you're done, take a picture of your answers and just hand them in via this lesson, and that's it. Okay, Dankeschön, tschüss.